chapter 19. And Ahab told Jezebel all that Elijah had done, and withal how he had slain all the prophets with the sword. Then Jezebel sent a messenger unto Eliah, saying, So let the gods do to me, and more also, if I make not your life as the life of one of them by tomorrow about this time. And when he saw that, he arose and went for his life, and came to Beersheba, which belongeth to Judah, and left his servant there. But he himself went a day's journey into the wilderness, and came and sat down under a broom tree. And he requested for himself that he might die. And he said, It is enough now, O Lord, take away my life, for I am not better than my fathers. And he lay down and slept under a broom tree. And behold, an angel touched him, and he said unto him, Arise and eat. And he looked, and behold, there was at his head a cake baked on hot stones, and a cruse of water. And he did eat and drank, and laid him down again. And the angel of the Lord came again the second time, and touched him, and said, Arise and eat, because the journey is too great for you. And he arose, and did eat and drank, and went in strength of the meal 40 days and 40 nights unto Horeb, the mount of God. And he came there unto a cave, and lodged there. And behold, the word of the Lord came to him, and he said unto him, What doest you here, Eliah? And he said, I have been very jealous for the Lord, the God of hosts. For the children of Israel have forsaken your covenant, thrown down your altars, and slain your prophets with the sword. And I, even I only, am left, and they seek my life to take it away. And he said, Go forth and stand upon the mount before the Lord. And behold, the Lord passed by, and a great and strong wind rent the mountains, and broke in pieces the rocks before the Lord. But the Lord was not in the wind. And after the wind an earthquake, but the Lord was not in the earthquake. And after the earthquake a fire, but the Lord was not in the fire. And after the fire a still small voice. And it was so, when Eliah heard it, that he wrapped his face in his mantle, and went out and stood in the entrance of the cave. And behold, there came a voice unto him, and said, What doest you here, Eliah? And he said, I have been very jealous for the Lord, the God of hosts. For the children of Israel have forsaken your covenant, thrown down your altars, and slain your prophets with the sword. And I, even I only, am left, and they seek my life to take it away. And the Lord said unto him, Go, return on your way to the wilderness of Damascus, and when you comest, you shall anoint Hazael to be king over Aram, and Jehu the son of Nimshi shalt you anoint to be king over Israel, and Elisha the son of Shaphat of Abel-Meholah shalt you anoint to be prophet in your room. And it shall come to pass that him that escapeth from the sword of Hazael shall Jehu slay, and him that escapeth from the sword of Jehu shall Elisha slay. Yet will I leave 7,000 in Israel, all the knees which have not bowed unto Baal, and every mouth which hath not kissed him. So he departed there, and found Elisha the son of Shaphat, who was plowing with 12 yoke of oxen before him, and he with the 12th. And Eliah passed over unto him, and cast his mantle upon him. And he left the oxen, and ran after Eliah, and said, Let me, I pray you, kiss my father and mother, and then I will go follow you. And he said unto him, Go back, for what have I done to you? And he returned from following him, and took the yoke of oxen, and slew them, and boiled their flesh with the instruments of the oxen, and gave unto the people, and they did eat. Then he arose, and went after Eliah, and ministered unto him. Okay, let's go back to verse 1. Well, we remember last chapter yesterday. Elijah, or Eliah, my mighty one is God, has killed all the prophets of Jezebel, and paying her back because she has sought to slay all the prophets of God. So it's kind of like the law. It's an eye for an eye, tooth for tooth here. And Jezebel is this one who causes to question the exalted. Now, they are the ones who've raised up an image, and they, through this and this Asherah that they have made, they have caused the people to err in their understanding of who God is. And that's where we're going to be picking this up in verse 1. And Ahab told Jezebel all that Eliah had done, and withal how he had slain all the prophets with the sword. So now Ahab, my father's brother, has told this one who causes the nations to question the exalted all about what Eliah has, how he has slain, and in what manner this withal we could replace with manner, and in the manner how he had slain all the prophets with the sword. So, and this sword represents the word of God. And we can just take that S and move it down to the end of the D, and that's words, and that's what we use in place of the sword. 2. Then Jezebel sent a messenger unto Eliah, saying, So let the gods do to me, and more also, if I make not your life as the life of one of them by tomorrow about this time. And we'll remember Jezebel, she's tried to slay all the prophets now of God with the word, with her sword. And she's telling Eliah, let the gods do to me. Of course, she don't even know who God is or what a God is. She worships these images and these stones that they've set up and made for themselves so that they might have rule over the people. And she's telling him, let this be done to me now if I don't make you like one of these that you've killed with the sword by tomorrow about this time. 3. And when he saw that, he arose and went for his life and came to Beersheba, which belongs to Judah, and left his servant there. So now Eliah, he gets wind of it, that Jezebel wants to kill him. And so what's he do? He takes his servant and he flees, and he comes to Beersheba. Beersheba is the southern borders of Judah, and Beersheba means this well of the seven, well of this oath, well of the sevenfold oath even. And he's going to leave his servant there. And he himself, verse 4, went a day's journey into the wilderness, and came and sat down under a broom tree. And he requested for himself that he might die. And he said, It's enough now, O Lord. Take away my life, for I am not better than my fathers. So now Eliah, he's afraid. He's the last prophet there is, and he's scared for his life because he knows they're going to kill him. And he's took off and he's fled into the wilderness now. And this wilderness is always in representation of the place where the words of truth shall drive out. And he's gone and he's sat down under a broom tree. And this broom tree represents this tree. And what they would do is they would take the branches of it, because they're limby. They have many limbs on a branch, and they would take these and they would bind them together, and they would use it for a broom. And this broom we know is this broom which God sweeps with, this broom of destruction, and it's the judgments of God, and that's what we're going to be learning about. And he requested now for himself that he might die. And so Eliah is asking God just to go ahead and take him away, take him off this planet, because he's no better off than his fathers were before. Why? Because he's been prophesying now the word of God, in the earth, it's been remaining now the same. Things aren't changing around him. And he lay down, 5, and slept under a broom tree. And behold, an angel touched him and said unto him, Arise and eat. So Eliah's laid down now under this broom tree. God's given him some peace, and he's gone to sleep. And an angel has touched him. And this is that he's either having a vision, or he is coming into an understanding from God. And he looked, and behold, there was at his head a cake baked on hot stones, and a cruse of water. And he did eat and drank, and laid him down again. So an angel has told him to arise and eat, and he's looked, and there's a cake of bread at his head. And this cake is baked on some hot stones. And these hot stones represent the law of God, and the heat now is the anger of God over these stones. And it's baking now this loaf of bread, and this understanding that comes from knowing that God's getting angry now because of the violations of his law. And that's what it's in reference to being at his head now, that he understands in his entirety that they have violated the law of God and thrown down his altars, as we're going to find out. And God is getting very angry. And this cruse of water, of course, this water represents this truth that does come from God. And he did eat, and he drank, and he laid down again. 7. And the angel of the Lord came again the second time. Now witness this. And this time is this circle, this going around. Now witness it. And he touched him and said, Arise and eat, because the journey is too great for you. So once again now this angel's come and said, Arise and eat again now, because this journey is too great for you. God's going to send you and on a great journey. So the second time now Eliah is going to arise and eat. Verse 8, And he arose and did eat and drank, and went in strength of that meal 40 days and 40 nights unto Horeb, the mount of God. And Horeb was the place where God set the covenant down to the children of Israel. Horeb was the place where he did bring Israel under this covenant, that they did say that they would be his people, that he was God and there was no other. This is the covenant which they have broke. And these 40 days now, 40 is probation. Why? Because the law's busy doing the work of God. And these days are these little circles of understanding. And these 40 nights, 40, once again, this is probation, the work of the law. The law is working the night, this darkness in the darkness. And that's what God's using. He's using both to be a witness now to you. The light and the darkness, how he has divided them, and that is your witness that he is God. For what does divide the light from the darkness? It is the law of God. 9, he came there into a cave, and he lodged there. And behold, the word of the Lord came to him. And he said unto him, What doest you here, Elijah? So Elijah's arrived there at this cave, this place where he's going to hide now for his life in the Mount of God. And God's asked him, What are you doing here, Elijah? 10, and he said, I have been very jealous for the Lord, the God of hosts, for the children of Israel have forsaken your covenant, and they've thrown down your altars, and they've slain your prophets with the sword. And I, even I, only am left, and they seek my life to take it away. So Elijah's telling God, he says, I've been jealous for you, Lord. They've forgotten about you, and they've forgotten about this agreement that you've made. They've thrown down your altars, and they've built up this other altar. And they've killed your prophets. They've slain them with the words. With their words have they done these things. And I, even I, only am left, and they seek to kill me too. 11, and he said, Now go forth and stand upon the mount before the Lord. And behold, the Lord passed by. Verse 11, and great and strong a wind rent the mountains, and broke in pieces the rocks before the Lord. But the Lord was not in the wind. And after the wind an earthquake, but the Lord was not in the earthquake. And we're going to find, see, that this is a vision that he's having, Eliah. In this vision now, he sees, and God causes him to stand there on this mountain of the law, and God shows him what he's going to do, and God causes a great wind to go before him, and this wind is the judgments of God going forth across the period of time. And we're going to see now, it rends the mountains. It breaks them in half. These mountains are these high places that they've made. These are their mountains. See, this is the mountains they've made, these high places they've built up. And God breaks in pieces the rocks of it. These rocks represent their truths. Their truths that cannot stand. But the Lord, he's not in the wind. And after the wind, an earthquake, see, an earthquake. God shakes not only the heavens, but the earth. And this, the earth, where he shakes the flesh of man. Now, he's going to shake it out. And after the earthquake, a fire. Verse 12. But the Lord was not in the fire. And after the fire, a still small voice. And we'll find the Lord, he's not in the earthquake. See, these are the judgments of God going forth. And as they go forth, they do shake. And after this, a fire. And this fire now is the judgment, the understanding from it. When you understand that God has turned you backwards, God has done this to you because you forgot about God's covenant he had made, God's law he had set down, and those he come to make witness unto you. See, you forgot all these things. And this is the fire, the understanding now of the truth, is a devouring fire of how you have erred against the law. But God's not in a fire. And after this fire, a still small voice. Because, see, from that which is broken comes that which can heal. And God, showing himself magnificent to you, revealing himself to you, has only asked you to love him now, and serve him, and obey the law now for your own good, for your own protection. Do these things. And it was so, 13, when Eliah heard it, that he wrapped his face in his mantle, and went out and stood in the entrance of the cave. And behold, there came a voice unto him, and said, What doest you here, Eliah? So, when Elijah hears these things, the sound of this wind, and he sees, and God has given him this vision, this understanding now. He wraps his face up in his mantle, because he knows it's God calling. And he won't be able to bear to look at God. So he wraps his face. Now this mantle is a prophet's garment. And this mantle represents that which God has clothed him in. And his cloak, that which God has given him, this glory, this understanding. And he goes out now to the face of the front of the cave. And behold, there's a voice from God. 14, and he said, What doest you here, Elijah? And Eliah answers God. 14, and he said, I have been very jealous for the Lord, the God of hosts. For the children of Israel have forsaken your covenant. They've thrown down your altars and slain your prophets with the sword. And even I only am left, and they seek my life to take it away. So now, 14, the law's working. We're going to find. This is the second time we hear this, because the first time was in vision, and now God's speaking to Eliah, and he's telling him, I've been jealous for you, Lord. And once again, the children of Israel have thrown down your covenant. They've forsaken it and thrown down your altars. And we'll find that's exactly what went on, and that's exactly what's going on today. Your prophets, Lord, have they slain with the sword, and even I only am left. And they seek my life to take it away. 15. And the Lord said unto him, Go, return on your way to the wilderness of Damascus, and when you come, you shall anoint Hazael to be king over Aram. So God now has sent Elijah up out of this Mount of Horeb, and he's told him, now go, return to your way, to the wilderness now, this place where the words will drive out, of Damascus. And Damascus is this place where the sackcloth is weaving silently. He says, now there you go and anoint Hazael to be king over Aram. Aram is these enlightened ones, these ones that have been exalted in understanding. And Hazael is this one who sees the mighty one. This one who has seen the mighty one. 16, and Jehu, the son of Nimshi, shalt you anoint to be king over Israel. Elisha, the son of Shaphat of Abel Maholah, shalt you anoint to be prophet in your room. So we're going to see now what we're witnessing here is a change in the periods of time. Jehu, this one who is God himself, represents God himself, he's going to anoint to be this king over Israel. And remember now, Israel are these 10 nations that have been scattered now, or shall be scattered at this time. And Elisha, the son of Shaphat of Abel Maholah, shall you anoint to be prophet in your room. So God's even going to transfer, we see, the spirit of the prophecy now over to Elisha. Elisha means my mighty one is salvation. And he's the son of Shaphat. Shaphat is this punishment. This punishment you get from judgment. And they're from Abel Maholah. And Abel is this meadow. Abel is meadow. This meadow where they're dancing. And we'll remember now those who dance, those who are dancing before God. Now he's going to anoint Elisha, prophet, in his place. So we're going to find now God's going to transfer this, and this is why. It's a punishment. It's a judgment from God. This one that is the mighty one's salvation, that who seest the mighty one. This is all for punishment. And we're going to find out they all are going to be one. It's 17, and it shall come to pass that him that escapes from the sword of Hazael shall Jehu slay, and him that escapeth from the sword of Jehu shall Elisha slay. So there's really no escape, see, and we're going to find out that these are all those that have contended with God, that have fought against the Word of God, that have gone against God. God's going to make an example out of you, a complete example. These 3 means it's going to be complete. God's going to catch you no matter which way you go. He's laid traps, snare, and in the end, after you jump out of that, right into the fire. So God has done these things. You have to turn your heart back to God and back to His law. 18. Yet will I leave 7,000 in Israel, all the knees which have not bowed unto Baal, and every mouth which hath not kissed him. 18. We're going to find out. See, God's going to leave these 7,000. 7 is perfection, and 1,000 is fulfillment. And this is the purpose He's leaving them to fulfill. This is the other witness. See, one witness is for God to show goodness and blessing in the earth, and the other now that He might show His judgment and His punishment. 19. So he departed from there, and he found Elisha the son of Shaphat, who was plowing with 12 yoke of oxen before him, and he with the 12. And Eliah passed over unto him, and cast his mantle upon him. So we're going to find out, and we can see, Eliah is throwing his mantle, or this glory, this understanding which God has given him, over onto Elisha. And this is where it gets transferred. And this anointing is controlled by God. God controls all these things. God controls the heart of every man. And we can't remember now that Elisha, he's the son of Shaphat. And when Elijah finds him, he's plowing with these 12 yoke of oxen. And these 12 yoke, now understand this yoke, because this yoke is what hooks the oxen together and causes them to pull, and represents this understanding or these truths that link each ox together and brings them into to pull. And they're pulling a plow, and this plow is turning the soil. It's rolling the soil because it's time to plant. There's a harvest coming, and it's a time of planting. And he was with the 12th, and 12 means this understanding, and this 12, he is a member of one of these 12 tribes, and these 12 that were given to bring understanding unto all the earth. 20. And he left the oxen, and ran after Elijah, and said, Let me, I pray you, kiss my father and my mother, and then will I follow you. And he said unto him, Go back, for what have I done to you? So now Elisha, the mighty one's salvation, has received this anointing now of God, and he goes running after Elijah. But he says to him, I pray you, let me go back and kiss my mom and dad, or my father and my mother. Let me say goodbye, and then I will follow you. And he told him that, Go back, for what have I done to you? He instantly understands this, and he receives this mantle from Elijah. And Elijah's telling him, I haven't done anything to you, just go on back. 21. And he returned from following him, and took the yoke of oxen, and slew them, and boiled their flesh with the instruments of oxen. And he gave unto the people, and they did eat. Then he arose, and went after Elijah, and ministered unto him. We see now that he does go back, and he returns, and he takes these oxen that he had been using to plow with, and these instruments that hook them together. He slays the oxen, these that he used to plow and pull, and he boils their flesh with the instruments of the ox. And there's the yokes. He burns these yokes, and he boils the flesh with the instruments of it. And he gives the people of the flesh, and they did eat. And this is the flesh. The boiling now is to bring the blood out, and it's skimmed off as scum that comes to the top of the pot. And this is what the boiling of the flesh is about. And then he arose and went after Elijah and ministered unto him. And we'll see, this is now where this bit of understanding shall come down now unto the people through this hand of Elisha. All right, now we're going to move on to chapter 20.